Record this. I'm not screen sharing yet. I'm going to start webinar. I'm press start webinar button.
Yeah, it should have automatically recorded, but good to remember.
Press the start button. And nobody's face is going to show up, right? We're just going to have people.
Yeah, no.
Right, there's people.
Oh, good. And there is a 500 limit too.
Okay, cool. We got to change the line of the email. I think we still say 100, but we've now upgraded Zoom plan. So what's up, everybody? Good to see everybody. Actually, I can't see anybody. So I see Ben and Bethany. If you're coming in and you're a client of Growth Tools, put client or something in chat and we'll make you a panelist. So we upgraded our Zoom account from like a regular Zoom account to the webinar account, because like a month ago we did one of these and somebody totally hacked it and streamed porn for like 5 minutes during the workshop. So we finally put our heads together and figured we might want to make it a tad more secure so that doesn't happen again, because that was pretty wild. We didn't even realize that had happened until Bethany went back to the recording and saw it. And then we all just hung our head and like, we got to fix this. So we changed to the webinar thing. The downside is all of your faces don't pop up, so I can't see you, which is a pretty big bummer. But so clients, if you're a client, put client in chat and we'll bring you on as a panelist, which means you could turn your video on. I mean, don't just start talking. That'd be super weird. But we can like see you and interact or something as we go through today. It'll be fun. So thanks everybody for being here. This is awesome. We had 100 people already. Great. Good job. Commitment. Well, commitment makes it like maybe too hardcore, but one of our biggest focuses this quarter is making sure we do shop talk every week. So this is, I think, our first one of the year, right, Ben?
Yeah.
Starting off strong, which is a really bad start to the year. The first one's on the 19th of January. But I think we got some schedules aligned and whatnot. So hopefully these will happen much more regularly. Anyway, thanks everybody for being here. I appreciate y'all. As the email said that invited everybody to this, today we're going to talk about how to use podcasts to grow your business, specifically how to generate leads by going on other people's podcasts. So that's going to be the meat of the workshop time today. Before we jump into that, let me, oh crap, let me share my screen. Desktop 2. No, let's do that one. Okay, there we go. All right, can y'all see Ben and Bethany? See the giveaway slide? All right, so I love books. I finally beginning of last year, fully embraced that I like reading and started each day about 45 minutes to an hour of reading at like 5 a.m. Anyway, so I read a ton of books last year. One of the first ones I started this year is I hate dust jackets. So this is the most anticlimactic book to hold up because it's literally a blank blue book. But it's called The New Gold Standard, and it's a book about Ritz-Carlton. And they are, world renowned for their customer service and their product just being totally exceptional. In fact, me and Stacy used a bunch of our points and miles stuff last January, actually, so a year ago, to go stay in the one in Orlando, and it was lived up to the hype. Super cool. But this book it is really fantastic. I've been texting Bethany several times throughout reading it. We both love reading, and we send books out to clients. So I've been telling her we got to send this one out. This one's absolutely fantastic. So we're going to give away a copy today. Actually, 2 different copies, one at the beginning, one at the end of Shop Talk today. The first one we give out is going to be to the person who guesses which test won. So every week at the start of Shop Talk, we have one, usually internal marketing test we've done. Sometimes it's for a client. Sometimes it might be just one we found on the internet that someone published. There's something interesting that's helpful for you, and also a fun game to play, which is which test won. So this test specifically is one Ben ran. This is in our Facebook funnel. So we have a funnel right now. We're buying ads it goes to a page where you schedule a call to get on a call and talk with us about our coaching. So we ran a test. You can't see it's hard to see right now. I'm going to show you a zoomed in version so you can actually see the screen a little bit better in a second. There's option A, option B. I'm going to walk you through each option. One person that guesses it right and shares this workshop, which I don't think I grabbed the URL for. I'm not seeing it in my notes. So maybe Ben can throw the share URL in here so other people can join. So if you want to win a copy of the book, guess the Rich Test 1, share a link wherever you want to share it, text it to a friend, put it on Twitter, whatever you do, doesn't matter. Just tell somebody about it and guess the test right. Okay, so here's the test. Ben, did we get the link?
I'm grabbing it. Yep.
Sweet. All right, so this is option A. So guess option A or option B. Don't guess yet. Wait till I actually show both options. And it isn't immediately obvious what the test is. It took me a minute to actually read it to find it. So, okay, so here's the test we did. This is, and I say we, I mean Ben. I didn't do anything. So the test is this. Oh, crap, go back. All right, so the button. Why does this keep doing that? All right, there we go. Son of a gun. The slide is just randomly changing itself. All right, so the button This is option A. The button says schedule your call now. The headline's the same. So the headline's the same between both of them. The little red arrow thing is still the same. The ugly round cornered button is still the same. The actual text inside of the button says schedule your call now. The text below the button says, yes, I want guaranteed results. Okay, so that's option A. Schedule your call now. Yes, I want guaranteed results. Option B, see if you qualify now. That's the button. And the subtext or the footer or whatever you call this, if this fails, we will pay you $1,000 plus cash plus your full refund. No, I can't read this. What does that say? No hot air. You get this in writing. Okay, this is like really small on my screen. Okay, so option A, schedule your call now. Yes, it's guaranteed. Option B, see if you qualify now. It will pay you money. This isn't crap, whatever. So Ben, when you were setting this test up, maybe give us a little background of what you were thinking.
Sure.
Which one did you think won and why did you run the test?
So running the test, just because CTA is a really high leverage thing to test on landing pages in general, I wanted to see if qualifying was a softer ask than scheduling a call right away, because this is a super cold funnel. There's not a lot of context when you hit this page. So I wanted to see if just the behavior would be different with those, with the different verbiage there.
Yeah. Which one did you think would win? A or B?
I honestly thought that see if you qualify would do better.
Yeah, everybody in chat seems to be agreeing with you as well. There's like, it looks like 80% plus B in chat.
A lot of option B, yeah.
Yeah. However, if this fails quote is pretty harsh. Yeah, maybe. And I would say too, by the way, a good a good question to ask your copy is it unbelievable? And it's really easy in the online marketing business space to like honestly just share real results and for them to sound unbelievable. So this is really, we do that. We give you a refund plus $1,000 back if you don't get the results we promise in 90 days. And there's like a little part of like you actually have to kind of try a little bit. But that's real. Like there's no bluff there. But I could see that maybe being borderline unbelievable. I don't know. Anyway, all right. So here's the results. Hey Bethany, which one do you think won? Do you know which one won?
I don't know.
You don't know. Okay, what's your guess?
We'll
take a book from you if you're wrong. We'll give a book to you if you're right.
I'm gonna guess option B.
B? All right.
For Bethany.
Literally everyone's wrong. Yeah. So okay, option A, which was the control, is the one we've been running. Schedule your call now. Direct. Tell them what to do. Option B, see if you qualify. I guess that technically tells them what to do, but it's slightly more ambiguous. And you have to look at those as a whole, not just the button text, but the button text and the footer or whatever the little subtext is right below it, the subheadline or whatever. So those have to be done in tandem. It'd be interesting to run the test, schedule your call now with the long footer and the short footer and see which one won. But anyway, yes, drastic. I mean, this is a drastic. Usually you don't see this drastic of a result from this little of a change, and this is a decent amount of volume. 758 visitors to option A, the schedule your call now, 63 sales calls scheduled. Option B, 764 visitors, so a few more, but basically the same. 15 calls scheduled. That is a giant difference in the two. So anyway, fun little which test one. We'll share that each week, but right before we start the actual workshop section, like cool little test we ran. Take that, test it for yourself. If part of your sales process is to schedule calls with you, pay attention to the words on the page. They matter a lot. It's the difference of 63 calls and 15 calls was just the words on a button. What is that, like 20 words was the difference? Everything else the same, design the same, headline the same, ads the same, everything the same. How did the signups convert? That gets a little tricky with this low volume. You would need thousands of visitors. You'd probably need in the 5,000 range on each test to go all the way through conversion. You really can't with the small numbers, because we get about, in this funnel, anywhere between 3 and 6% of people that book calls convert, like the net total rate between a raw booking and an actual close. And you wouldn't, if you just do the math, you wouldn't have enough to actually get a conversion in this. But you can measure the leading KPIs. You could measure, like the better thing to measure might be pickups. You got bookings, that's the first KPI. The next one would be pickups. The next one would be pitches, and then you would have conversions. The problem with small numbers it's hard to measure all the way through conversion. And honestly, you don't want to spend the money a lot of times to do that, but you can get really good leading indicators, meaning if your bookings are way higher, that isn't always a positive. Now, this test doesn't game the system much at all. It isn't like we went like borderline with some promise or something that like really attracted people in. It's a pretty straightforward CTA. So it isn't really accidentally juicing the numbers, but you could also go and just measure pickups, see which one produced the better pickups. You probably wouldn't be able to get to pitches on that. The numbers would be too low to trust them. Yeah, so good test. Good job, Ben. We know to keep the one we have and not do that one.
Right.
All right. So real quick, we talked about we're going to give away a copy of this book that you can't see any graphics on because I threw away the dust cover, but it's called, if you don't win it, you literally go buy the book. And I put on your reading list for this year, The New Gold Standard. So this is one of probably my number one takeaway so far. And they talk about this in different ways. And there's lots of parts of this book that's really interesting to me. But one of the most interesting things is a line, I think it's in chapter 7 of the book. They say that if we boil down everything Ritz does, by the way, think about this, you running a coaching, a course, a SaaS, a consulting business, you're an author, whatever your role is, like we're talking about a hotel chain, but think about you serving your customers, like put yourself in that shoes and using this. Anyway, this is the line: anticipating the customer's unstated needs is the goal of every employee. Which is interesting. Like we spend a lot of time internally at Growth Tools thinking about the anticipated needs. We spend a lot of times thinking about the stated needs, but how much time do we spend talking about the unstated needs? So he gives the story from the book. He says, this is the author telling the story, like a time he experienced this himself in the process of writing and researching the book. So he sends an email to the manager of the Orlando Ritz-Carlton and says, hey, I'm going to be in town tomorrow. It's last minute. I'm going to fly in on a red eye from San Francisco. I'll be there at 7 a.m. Do you have any time during the day tomorrow to meet? A normal and very good response to that email, the manager might have said something like, totally, I've wiped my slate clean. 11:30 would work for me. I got an hour and a half, would love to meet, look forward to seeing you. Like that would be an A+ response. But the manager didn't do that. He responded back. I should have actually took a screenshot of this so you could read it. I'll paraphrase it. He basically sent an email back and said, hey, thanks so much. I went ahead and made you, yes, I would like to do that. I went ahead and made you a 2-night reservation at the hotel. We gave you club access. So when you get here, you can go up and get breakfast immediately. You'll have time to take a nap there. And then afterwards, we scheduled you a massage for after our meeting so you can wind down and have a good time before your flight leaves out that evening, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You get the point. Like he anticipated, like he literally looked at a situation like, oh, he's coming in a red eye. He's going to land at, 1 a.m., drive to the hotel, be totally exhausted. And then he's going to try to interview me and he's going to be super tired and hungry and need to shower and all that. So we just took care of all of it up front, which is a fascinating, like if you ever stayed at a Ritz or heard stories about them, they do that kind of stuff all the time. Absolutely fascinating. Probably the other number one takeaway or most interesting thing about the book, that kind of stuff, like I can conceive of how you do that on a small scale with a small team, not serving a small amount of clients. It's harder to conceive of how to do that when you open a brand new hotel with 500 employees that have never worked at a Ritz before and have no context for even thinking like that. Like everywhere they've worked has been the opposite of that. So they walk through literally how they train these high level, high achieving core values on a big scale. And it's really fascinating. All of you that are here are either building or growing a business right now. And you will eventually reach the point where it's not just you. You might even be at the point where it's not just you. It might be you and your team. And this becomes a real problem that you have in your business. So I think there's 2 angles of this book that are most applicable to me and most applicable to you. One, how do you think on a customer service level that's beyond what you've even thought before? Like it just expands your imagination on what's even possible. And number 2 is how can you then teach and scale that to your team? So anyway, the New Gold Standard. Ben, who won? Somebody that shared it and somebody that guessed which test won right. Who do we have? Bethany's going to send a copy to your door. I think it's got about a week and a half delivery time because I ordered a couple of copies this morning to give to friends. So it might take a minute to get there, but we'll order it and send it to you today.
So we have Tony Jacobson guessed it right and shared it right away.
I like it. Sweet. Tony, direct message Bethany. So you can just go to the little chat thing there, direct message Bethany, or you can just email her, bethany@growthfools.com. Send her your just name and address, physical address, and we'll send you a copy. We'll Amazon it out today for you. Great job, Tony. Okay, so let's go to workshop time. So this is the point everybody got here. How to get booked on podcasts that will send you free customers. So I'm going to teach you literally exactly how we do this and how we help quite a few clients do this exact thing. Zoom out high level for a second so we know why we're doing this. The think it was Ron Dice. Me and Bill, our marketing director, went to Traffic and Conversion Summit back in September of this last year. And he asked a question in one of his sessions that I thought was fantastic. I love good questions. And the question was, does everyone on your team know how customers happen? Or do you know how customers happen? Like, how do you get customers? What is the process for that? Which is a fantastic question. At a very high level, there's infinite amount of detail that you can get into on answering that question. But at a high level, there's two major components to it. You have to attract people. You have to attract people to your product, and then you have to convert them. They have to actually give you money. Once they come into your universe and know you exist, they have to go from that to actually giving you money. Those are the two main mechanisms. And this is literally the two main KPIs in our company. We track number of leads, conversion rate. So those are the two main mechanisms in place. You have to attract people and you have to actually get them to pay you money. Now, the vast majority of people that you attract will not pay you money immediately. Some of them will, actually, and that's good. You really need that to actually cash flow the business and be able to invest back in the business. But a big chunk of them, like I just shared, like our global close rate on cold traffic on a really good month is 8%. That means 92% of the people that we're paying to put ads in front of don't buy from us. So we have, I would call it the middle bucket, the trust bucket. And we want to try to get as many of those people as possible to join our audience. We do that in the form of joining our email list so we can build trust with them over time so eventually they'll buy. So for us internally, the trust people that convert from our audience are like 80% of our new clients each month come from the trust bucket. 20% come from the cold people we attracted yesterday. Those people that were harder. They don't know you. They don't trust you. They just saw an ad or they just saw a podcast. They saw something with your name on it yesterday. They're not quite sure if you're not a weirdo on the internet yet. But some of them trust you enough or they'll pay you money, but most of them won't. So we want to try to capture in that trust bucket as many people as possible and build trust with them over the years in order to convert them later. So I won't go into the details of this diagram, but this is our marketing system. When clients hire us to coach them, we install this into their company. We'll do it uniquely in their context and put different flavors and adjustments on it based on their unique situation, but this is the basic gist. These are all the strategies we install inside of the attract bucket, trust bucket, and money bucket. Today, the reason I say all that is using podcasts to generate sales for you, generate leads for you, falls into the attract bucket. This is a strategy you can use to attract a ton of monthly new leads to your company. So right now, just high level, if you had to grade your business, your company right now, or your idea of a company right now, how well you do at attracting leads. Like, do you have a lead problem? No, we get 5,000 new leads a month. Awesome. You probably don't have a lead problem. Do you have a trust problem? Like, do people just like not buy from you? Think your conversions should be higher than they are, but they're just low. Probably got a trust problem. Or do you have a conversion problem? Meaning like you do all the right tactics, but for some reason people go to your sales page and don't buy, or they get on the phone call, but they never actually pay you money. If you had to grade, which one of those do you think you do the worst at? Like, which one do you think has the most opportunity to grow? Attracting leads, building trust, or monetization? Put it in chat real quick. I want to know. Great. Literally take 10 seconds right now. Do a quick run through of your business. Do you need the most help attracting leads, building trust, or monetizing those leads? Okay, good. A lot of people say attract. And that's kind of the point of today. So this actually helps with a lot of them. If you think about it, really, it's primarily going to drive leads for you. But there's almost no better, there actually maybe a couple better ways, but there's almost no better way to build trust than for someone to listen to you be interviewed by someone they already trust for 45 minutes. Like imagine if you tomorrow went on Pat Flynn's podcast, like Smart Passive Income, big podcast, tons of people. So you're going to generate leads from that alone if you even screw it up. But he has years of trust built up in his audience. By you going on his podcast, a lot of that trust is transferred to you. So you immediately start not at like a 1 out of 10 on trust, but like a 6 or 7 out of 10. Because at the beginning of the episode, he's going to say, hey, I got my good friend Brian on here, and today he's going to walk us through how he does X, Y, Z. Like that alone raises the trust bar nearly immediately. And here's like I don't know what to call it. Anyway, here's like a thing, maybe a misconception about marketing that a lot of people get wrong. A lot of people spend a ton of their time on the money bucket, fancy funnels and crazy automations and all this stuff, thinking that's going to drive leads or drive trust. It doesn't do any of those things. Like most people need to shift the amount of time, the 90% of their time they're spending on the conversion, like especially you marketing geeks and growth hackers out there. You're spending like 95% of your time on the monetization stuff and almost no time on making sure you have enough leads and they actually trust you at all. So you can score a C- on conversions, but be A+ on attract and trust and do really well. But if you're an A+ on all the fancy marketing stuff, the third bucket of monetization, but you're a C- on the other two, you will never hit any goal you ever have because you won't have enough leads and they'll never trust you. And no matter all the fancy stuff you do, they won't buy. That's when things feel weird. Okay, so let's get into the details. So there are 4 ways to get leads, 4 primary buckets. This is how I think. Almost every marketing strategy for lead generation you can come up with falls in one of these 4 buckets. Paid media, so Facebook ads, Instagram ads, YouTube ads, whatever. You're paying for it. Number 2 is search. So Google search, YouTube search, those are the 2 main ones. Word of mouth, abbreviated as WOM. But you actually have a good product and people tell their friends about it. That's one. And the last one is OPA, or other people's audiences. You don't have to do your own marketing. They do it for you. They have a big audience of 100 people, 1,000 people, 100,000 people. Somehow you get in front of that audience. They say, hey, listen to Brian, he's really smart, or listen to Cody, he's smart, or listen to Heather, she's smart. That trust is immediately transferred. And then all you got to do is tell them what your product is, and a ton of people buy from it. That's OPA. That's borrowing other people's audiences. So the very first time I did this was totally by accident. I'd been following a guy named Noah Kagan for a long time. I bought his product, had a little bit of success with it, shared the results with him. And he's like, hey, will you come teach my audience? He had a blog, I think, of about 50,000 people at the time. Of an audience of 50,000 people, will you come teach them how you did this thing? And that thing for me was how I started an email list. And he's like, it's been a long time since I started a list, but a lot of my audience was to start a list. So can you come teach them how to do it? I'm like, yes, I can figure out how to write a blog post. I'll do that. So wrote a post, published it on the site. These are the numbers from it. These are the numbers to the sales page for any of y'all that have been around a minute. This is actually hosted on Gumroad at the time, which I think is like back around now and like maybe making a resurgence. But anyway, that's the checkout stuff I use. So these are like, I went back into my Gumroad account a few months ago and took this screenshot from that one blog post from Noah sharing my message with his audience. The audience already existed. I had no leads. He had 50,000 leads. I taught, he shared it with his audience. 15,000 people came to the sales page. 331 of them bought. $10,000 in core sales were generated from getting in front of one other audience by borrowing one other person's audience. That's OPA. That's the basics of how it works. So my favorite, there's lots of different ways to borrow other people's audiences. And we're not getting, the point isn't to get in all of them today. Maybe we can do, if y'all want to know more different strategies, or you hear me passively mention another way to do this, feel free to put it in chat and we'll prioritize it in workshops and maybe teach it, go in depth like we're going to do podcast this time. My favorite OPA strategy is doing podcast tours. So if you think about a podcast tour, like an author releases a new book, well, a lot of times they'll go around and do a tour. They'll literally visit major cities in the US, go to bookstores and meet people and sell books. An artist releases a new album, or a band releases a new album. What do? They go on tour and they play the album for like a year all around the US, and people hear it, people buy albums, people pay them money. Podcast tour is the same way, except you don't have to go anywhere. You sit in your office and you turn on your microphone and you answer questions by someone who has a podcast with a couple hundred, a couple thousand, maybe a couple 100,000 listeners on them. And that audience learns about you for the first time, spends 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour with you. So trust is built from that. And then you're able to just share the basics about what you do. So a lot of them wind up buying from you. So it is very possible to get 100 to 500 new leads per month just from this. 100 to 500 leads per month just from this. So I'm going to walk through literally, I'm going to give you 2 examples and we'll walk through literally how to do it. I'll pause for a minute because I tend to just talk for a long time and not stop. So Ben, anything to add on to, I'll try to prime it up on what the opportunity is, then we'll go into how to do it. So anything to add so far?
Well, I think, there's actually a question here, the confidence to go and reach out to folks. And maybe that's something that we get into here in a couple minutes, but I don't know, what would you say? Because Lisa's asking the question.
I think that's good. We'll literally cover this next. And when we get into the how-to, I'll talk about this. Because I think the confidence is, one of the tricky parts about borrowing other people's audience is it feels like when you hear about it for the first time, or you've been thinking about it for a while, it feels like they have to do something, they have to do you a favor. But there's no reason they would do you a favor. You're a nobody, you have no audience, you have no whatever. List all the reasons why they wouldn't want to do things for you. So what's in it for them? There's got to be something in it for them. I'll go over that for you. Somebody asked about a recording. I think we emailed those out on Saturday Roundup. We're going to move this to be broadcasting on YouTube, maybe as early as next week. So that'll just automatically have the recording there. Somebody asked about that. Yeah. Okay. So let me give you 2 examples of this in action, and then we'll go to literally how to do it. So Diana David, she's a course creator. She owns a company called Future Proof Labs. You can just Google Future Proof Labs. She teaches senior executives how to transition to the next stage of their career. So people that are like literally senior, they're like 60 years old and over, that are finished some C-level, they're a CFO or CEO or something. They want to do their next thing. They don't want to retire, but they want to go do something else. She helps them. And she has a course and a community. So she went on a podcast tour, did 20 podcasts. What does that say? Did a 30-minute podcast interview 20 times. She went on 20 different podcasts. They interviewed her. Thousands of people discovered her because those podcasts already have audiences. She goes on the audience. Thousands of people in each podcast learn about her. And as a result, she sold $20,000 in her courses. Diana David. One more example. Kytra just did one. She didn't even do a tour. She just went to one bookstore. She just went on like a tour of one city. So she's a course creator as well. Owns a company called Pink Pot Studios. Teaches physical product sellers how to grow sales with great product pictures. So if you have like a physical product, she'll teach you how to take really good pictures for your Amazon listings or your website. And that alone will increase conversions because people trust your thing more because there's a good picture of the thing. Anyway, she has a course called Product Photography School. She did a podcast interview on a podcast called Privy. And you can just Google any of this. Google Kytra Privy and you can listen to the episode and see how it went for her. Thousands of people listened to the episode. And she grew her list, her audience, the trust bucket, by 1,000 people from one interview. How many of you put yes or no in chat, or under or over? How many of you had 1,000 new leads last month combined total for the month? Were you under 1,000 or over 1,000? By the way, I'm not selling you anything. I'm just trying to present the opportunity. So under, over 1,000. Good.
There's a good paradigm here too, because imagine what you pay for those 1,000 subscribers with paid ads.
Totally. Yeah, we would pay what like a good lead magnet type funnel would be like $6. That'd be $6,000 of literally ad cost if we wanted to run a lead gen funnel immediately.
Yeah,
under over. Okay, cool. So to do this, you do need 3 to 5 hours a week, and that's like a range. I don't know. Maybe it takes you 7, maybe it takes you 1 because you're super efficient. That's just a general benchmark number. If you want to do this, if you want to do a continual podcast tour, go on a series of podcasts in order to generate leads and generate sales for you, it takes about 3 to 5 hours ish, depending on how you structure the work. So if you have that time, great. Let's like do this immediately. If you don't, like learn, understand how it works. And then when you get the time or you make the time or whatever becomes more important to you, then you can do this. This is, by the way, if I were starting over tomorrow from scratch, this is the first thing I would do. This strategy specifically. So, all right. So how to execute a podcast tour? 3 steps. Number 1, make a list of relevant podcasts. Number 2, pitch everyone on that list. Number 3, do the interview and drop a call to action. So let's walk through each of these and show you what they work like. So first, make a list of relevant podcasts. Now, here is probably the number 1, especially if you feel slightly intimidated by this, about reaching out to the people, why would they want me, all that stuff. Here's the number 1 thing to understand. This is the paradigm shift to make it approachable if it feels unapproachable to you. The number 1 problem that podcast hosts have is finding quality guests. Who in here runs a podcast? If you run a podcast in chat, type in, okay, good. Do you worry about finding guests? Is that a top problem for you if you run a podcast, literally just finding good people to talk to? Okay, here we go. Yes. Absolutely. There you go. So the number 1 problem, now they want to grow the podcast too. So I don't know how people would prioritize the problems, but one of the common daily present problems for anybody producing any kind of content, this isn't just podcasters. This is people that run blogs, people that run Facebook groups, people that run podcasts, etc. All have content problems and they're already looking for you. I literally just Google searched looking for podcast interviews, looking for podcast guests, and pulled up this Reddit thread that literally says, I'm looking for podcast guests. Here's a Facebook group looking for guests for my live podcast. People need guests so bad that they publicly post for them. So this isn't a service they're doing for you. This is a service you're doing for them. Now, you can't be a weirdo. You have to actually give a good interview. We'll talk about that in step 3. But the paradigm shift, the primary one, is they need you more than you need them. So keep that in your mind when you go to reach out to them. So here's how you find podcast interviews. This is 3 basic steps. And if we have time at the very end, maybe just let me know if you want this. Maybe type workshop in chat or something if you want this. We'll maybe pick a person or 2 out of the audience and just make a list, or at least like start a list. And you can see us thinking out loud of how we would approach finding the podcast for them. Okay, so this is the basic steps. Number 1, list out this is probably the most important step because step 2 and 3 are pretty easy. Step 1, list out keywords, literally pull out a piece of paper. Oh, maybe everybody do this right now. If this is a strategy you're even halfway interested in, pull out a piece of paper or pull up a Google Doc or something to type in or write in right now. And list out words or phrases surrounding the problem that you solve. What's the problem that your product or service solves? Write that down first, like problem, and then list the problem out in simple words. Problem we solve, growing business. Like literally, we help you get more sales via a coaching program. That's the problem we solve at Growth Tools. And then here's the key. Brain dump any keywords or phrases around that. So I might put like email list, revenue, lead generation, conversion, sales calls, coaching offer, help, etc. I just like brain dump a bunch of crap. Then do your brain dump. Then do 2 more things. Number 1, make a list of common things that cause that problem. So what are the causes of the problem you solve? So for me, it might be bad offer. It might be terrible marketer. It might be doesn't have enough leads. It might be says they want it, but doesn't really want it, which is kind of the classification like mindset problems. Like I would just list out stuff like that. And then 3rd category, problems that result from having your problem. So let me pick a different example versus my business. So if like you're a marriage counselor, the problem you solve is having a bad marriage. Things that cause it might be job stress, married the wrong person, bad conflict resolution skills. I don't know, like list of things that would cause a bad marriage, money fights, got fired, cheated on my wife, all that stuff. Things that would result from the problem existing might be extremely high stress, might be kids that are super jacked up, might be whatever, like brainstorm through things that would result from having a bad marriage. So basically at the end of this, you have a piece of paper with like 30 or 40 things written on it. And it's just like a total mayhem on the piece of paper, but you get a bunch of keywords and phrases written down. That's step 1. Spend 30 minutes or less on this. It won't take much time. In fact, if we have time at the end, we'll just do this. You can see at least one walkthrough of this. Okay, so once you do that, second thing, pull out your phone, or actually I prefer this little website called Podchaser because iTunes interface sucks on desktop. So I just go to Podchaser. They have a great directory, and I'd start typing all the keywords and phrases in one at a time. Revenue, lead generation, mindset problems, business owners, finance, revenue, whatever all my words would be. I would just literally go type them into Podchaser, which is just an iTunes directory, just a scraper that works a little better than iTunes. Then number 3, add everyone you find that seems like sort of relevant to you to a Google Sheet. Make your list of people. And I'll walk you through in a minute how to prioritize those and who to maybe reach out to first and whatnot. But how do you find people that interview you? List all the keywords and phrases surrounding your product, surrounding the problems that cause the things that cause the problem and things that result from the problem. Those are just kind of categories to think within that get you thinking of interesting related things. Because one of the main problems people do when they're trying to find podcasts is try to find super specific. It'd be like only other people that coach online business owners that are coaches and course creators could I interview with. And it's like, no, not at all. Like it's way broader than that. I could go on all kind of podcasts. I could go on business finance podcast. And I could literally go on a business finance podcast and find hundreds and hundreds of leads and dozens of customers as a result of that. Because there's a ton, like not everybody's going to be the perfect fit, but there's a ton of people listening that would be very interested in what we do. Okay, a couple pro tips on finding people. And I'll stop, and I'm sure we've had some questions. Pro tip number 1, plan for, so if you're thinking of like, how much could this, I don't know how big this podcast is. I don't want to spend 2 hours reaching out to them and doing the interview and all this. I don't know what it would result in. Here's like a rule of thumb. It's not a promise. It's like a rule of thumb. Plan for 10 to 15% of the reviewers of the podcast to opt in. This is actually something I learned from a client. I was interviewing him like a year ago, and I was like, how do you know how many people opt in? Because it seems kind of black magic to me. It's like, oh, it's easy. You just go to iTunes and see how many people that reviewed the podcast. If there's 100, you could plan to generate about 25 leads from that. And sometimes with smaller review numbers, you can get like closer to 50. If you have 1,000 reviews, you could generate 250 leads from it. So that's like a rule of thumb. If you're looking through there, 10 to 50% of reviewers is a general, like very possible to do with not super well optimized podcast interview. Number 2, don't go really big, especially at first. I can get there later. Like if you're in finance space or something like, or finance type of categories popped up on your list, don't put on your list Dave Ramsey and Tony Robbins as number 1 and 2. Like get to them in year 3 and 4 of doing this. You're not going to start there. If you've never been interviewed in your life, Dave's not about to interview you tomorrow. So like, and also don't confine yourself to just hyper niche. Don't just, if you're in finance space, let's say one of our case studies we share a lot is Nick True. He's a finance coach. He works with entrepreneurs. He wouldn't want to just go on finance-based podcasts. He could go on business growth podcasts. He could go on business leadership and hiring podcasts. There's all kind of categories he could go into where his people are hanging out, just learning different things. And now they're going to learn about his thing. Pro tip number 3, web out from interview podcasts. So if you go on, this is the first one I did this on. I went on the Mixergy podcast years ago, and Andrew has interviewed 2,000 other people. So I just went to his episode list and scrolled through it and made a list of like 50 people that I would love to be on their platform, whether it's a blog or podcast or interview or whatever. But in this context, let's think of podcasts. Of Andrew's 2,000 interviews, hundreds of them have podcasts of their own. So the email reach out to them is really warm. It's like I literally put in the subject line, Mixergy, loved your Mixergy interview. And in the email, I might say even, hey, I went on Mixergy, you went on Mixergy, you have a podcast. I'd love to come on and talk about this. It's a really easy pitch if you start with really warm people. So if you go on interview-based podcasts, you can work out from there, web out from interview-based podcasts. Even if you haven't been on the podcast, it can be a great place to look to find podcast ideas. Okay, does that make sense? Everybody tracking? That's how you find people. How do you find people that would be relevant to you? Ben, we tracking? Any questions pop up in chat as I talk through that?
So not around finding people. We got
Yep.
a couple questions around making your pitch stand out. Why are there so many pitches? That kind of thing.
Perfect. Next question. Step 2. How do you pitch people? Pitch everyone on the list. Okay, so I'm going to share the email with you in a Google Doc and some other emails as well, so you'll have these. So remember, I would like take a picture of this on your phone, and before you go to write a pitch email, read this again, because it's really easy to think they have more to give you than you have to give them. And if you write a pitch from that posture, it will come across weird. It'll come across like you're begging. It'll come across like you're desperate. Don't do that. So remember, they are already looking for good guests. You just have to ask for the interview and show them you aren't a weirdo. If you come across like a weirdo, you're out. Come across irrelevant, you're out. If you don't ask, you're out. You have to do those 3 things. I'm relevant, I have to actually ask, and I have to show them not a weirdo. So there's 3 types of email pitches. We literally have scripts or a little script/framework for each of these 3. So when we reach out to people as a company to book interviews, we use one of 3 scripts. And all we do is ask ourselves, is the person we want to reach out to, do they know us at all? If they don't, we send a particular type of email. Do they kind of know us? Like we've kind of followed each other a little bit, but we've never had direct conversations, or we kind of know each other through the grapevine a little bit, but don't know, kind of know, we send another script. Or if we know them really well, like if it's a good friend of mine, I'll just send them a text and be like, hey, I want to come on your podcast. And they'll say, okay, and we'll pick a time. And it's really easy. So let's just do the hard one, because the other 2 are like way easier to do. And you can kind of learn from the really hard one, which is, what we think of really hard. What you'll find is making a list is easy. Pitching is easy. Consistently doing a podcast every day, every week, whatever cadence you want, and just like you managing yourself, that's the hard part. But you can prove it to yourself by doing this, and you'll see very quickly, a lot of people will do interviews, a lot of people will let you on. You just got to execute. Almost everything in marketing comes down to like, you got to do the job, good job at it. Okay, so let's show a script on the screen of, this isn't maybe an actual email. I don't know. Maybe it's one we wrote for a client. I don't recall now, but anyway, I'm going to read this. And then I'm going to show you the framework for a great pitch email. But at first, I just want to read the email. Then I'm going to show you kind of what we're doing here. And then I'm going to show the email again and kind of break down what's going on here. This is the best pitch writing, the best pitch email I've ever seen. And this is a combination of stuff I've done when I first started out, this stuff I do now, clients. We've learned this from many, many places. We didn't invent this at all. But we have consolidated it down to a pitch script that's freaking amazing. This work, you can directly pitch services all day. You can do any kind of stuff from this pitch script. So let me just read the email. We've contextualized it for reaching out to a podcast host to do an interview. Okay. Sarah here from UX Portfolio Formula. Just saw that you're hosting a new Smashing podcast, and that's the name of the podcast, Smashing Podcast. And wanted to tell you, I love the episode you did with Liz Elcote on freelancing. The part where you and Liz touched on the anxiety that can come from finding clients was so on the money. Not sure if you're monitoring reviews, but I just sent some love your way. And they put a screenshot. I'm sure you know that employed designers deal with similar anxiety when trying to advance their career or find a great full-time job, because you understand the anxiety your audience feels. I think it would be helpful for them to know how to create a UX portfolio that companies will notice, which I'd love to teach them. If you're interested in interviewing me, I can also promote the episode to my audience as well. So you'll pick up some more email and podcast subscribers and eventually customers too. Are you interested? Sarah, A+ pitch email. I get a lot of pitch emails. I get pitch emails almost every day. And almost all of them are like a D- at best. They're really, really, really bad. We used to have a segment we did with customers when we did some things called good pitch, bad pitch, where I just show screenshots of pitches and we'd rewrite them and show the good version. So that's a helpful exercise. And maybe, vote for that at a workshop, and we'll maybe do that at some point. Okay, so let me show you the framework behind this. There's 3 parts of a good pitch. There's the anchor, proving you aren't a weirdo. It builds trust is what it does. That's how you prove you're not a weirdo. You like build trust with them. Show them the win. So anchor, win, ask. Prove you aren't a weirdo. Show them what they'll get out of it, and then make it easy to say yes. Any good pitch email does those 3 things in that order. And I even sized the boxes in this graphic to show. I don't know how I keep doing that. To show the real estate that part of the email should take up. So most pitches are like 90% about the person that pitched them, giving me background information, talking a lot. There's like 4 paragraphs about them. And I'm skimming to try to find a question mark, like what do they want? And then they never have it, or it's at the very end and I don't even know what the win for me would be. Prove you aren't a weirdo, show them what they'll get out of it, and make it easy to say yes. So now let's reread this email in context of that. Remember the first part, like 2/3 of the email needs to be proving you aren't a weirdo. Then show them what the win is for them, and then just ask. Okay, so let's read this email again in that context. We're going long here, so y'all hang with me. Cody, you good to hang around for? We're going to start after what we planned. Okay. Hey, Drew, Sarah here. Okay, this first part all the way through the bottom of the screenshot is all anchor. And notice how they're proving they're not a weirdo. They're proving they're not a weirdo by thanking them for the podcast, mentioning a specific episode, mentioning a thing they get out of it, and then they left a review and took a screenshot of it. No podcast host opens an email bragging about their podcast with screenshots and reviews and specifically mentioned episodes and doesn't read it and reply. 100% reply rate to this email. Unless you fake it and force it and it's all like weird, which you could do if you're like trying to do 100 of these a day. Don't do 100 of these pitches a day. You can't do 100 and actually be good pitches. Okay. Hey, Drew, Sarah here from the UX Portfolio Formula. Just saw that you're hosting the new Smashing podcast. I wanted to tell you I love the episode. So she brags. That's the first anchor that you did with this person. She mentions a specific podcast. That's the second anchor. The part where you and Liz touched on the anxiety that comes from finding clients was so on the money. She bragged about a specific part of the content. Third anchor. And then the fourth anchor, and this is the best one. Not sure if you're monitoring reviews, but I sent some love your way. She actually did a thing, helped her already by leaving a review. What does every podcaster say at the end of their thing? Like it and review it. Leave it a review on iTunes. Well, she just did that ahead of time. Then she gets into the win for the host. So this next paragraph, starting at I'm sure, is the win for the host. I'm sure you know that employee designers deal with similar anxiety when trying to advance their career, blah, 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 blah. I think it would be helpful for them to know how to create UX portfolio that the companies would notice, which I'd love to do for them. Now, here's the win. If you're interested in interviewing me, I can also promote the episode in my audience to my audience as well, so you pick up more subscribers. There's actually 2 wins for the host. There's an implied win from the first paragraph, and that you get this piece of content that your audience actually wants. And she actually went a step further by showing them that why the audience would want it and connecting it to the review that she wrote up at the top, to the episode she referenced. So this person talked about this. That means your audience would be interested in this. And here's a way you could relieve anxiety. You did an anxiety interview. Here's another thing they would have anxiety about, making their portfolio. I'd love to teach them that so to alleviate their anxiety as well. There's a great connection between the anchor and the ask. But she also mentioned audience growth. Now, notice Sarah doesn't say how big her audience is. She doesn't say I have an email list of 10,000 people, because Sarah doesn't have an email list of 10,000 people. She has like 50 people on Twitter, 75 people on YouTube, and 2 people on Pinterest that she set up 10 years ago. But she's going to promote it in all those places. That's fine. She's going to promote the episode to everyone she knows, and I'm going to give you a piece of content you really want. Last piece. Remember, the last part of the email should make it easy to say yes. She didn't even ask for the interview. All she said was, are you interested? That's an easy yes. I don't have to fully commit in one email to interview you. I just ask if you're interested. So what happens is, whoever the person she's writing this, Liz responds back with, yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's talk about that. And then Liz prompts her to set up a call to do a discovery or whatever happens next. But that's easy. Are you interested is how I end nearly every pitch email I've ever sent. And it works fantastic because it's low commitment, easy to say yes. And then you can let the next steps flow from there based on what that person would desire. So that's how you write a pitch email. Let me send you. So I got scripts. Would y'all like this in a Google Doc format? And I got a script for people you kind of know and people you do know. Would y'all like y'all want me to share the Google Doc? I'm imagining the answer is yes. So I'll
Yeah.
just put it in the chat.
Lots of yeses.
Okay. Ben, just check the share permissions on that. Make sure it's actually, sometimes I'll,
Oh yeah.
I'm sure y'all
Grab
tell
it.
us wrong, but anyway, that's the Google Doc link. I think it's 3 or 4 pitch emails of variations. Okay. Everybody's saying it does. Good. Okay. Step 3. We'll speed through this. This is the easy part. Do the interview and drop a call to action. 5 pro tips for doing a great interview. Number 1, listen to at least 2 to 3 of the most popular episodes. If you go to the iTunes app, I know there used to be, I haven't looked at this in the last year, so I'm assuming it's still there, but they'll show you the popularity of the episode. They have like bars showing you how popular it is. You can also just go to where they post their episodes to on their website and just see which one has the most comments or likes or shares or whatever. Anyway, find what seems to be the most 2 to 3 most popular podcast episodes and listen to them, and go in with the mindset you want to do the best interview they've ever had. You want to be the best interview that person's ever had on the show before. Reverse engineer what the top 2 to 3 did and just give them a freaking good interview. That's what they want. So give it to them. Spend time on that. Make sure you even frame up the episode with them in scheduling to be a good title, to be something their audience actually wants. Pro tip number 1. Pro tip number 2, throughout your interview, drop contextual call to actions. Meaning, if I were doing, maybe I'm talking about email pitching on a podcast. Somebody has on their podcast talking about email pitching. I'm like, oh yeah, we talk about anchor, when, ask, and I'm walking through examples. And I'm like, oh, by the way, I have those scripts. I'll just link them up at growthtools.com/podcast scripts. Just go there and grab them. And I don't have that yet. Literally, that doesn't exist. But the episode's not coming out for a week or 2 or a month or 2. I'll just go set it up after the interview. So I will invent resources during the interview that I know I have somewhere I could gather together, make the thing, and drop them throughout. If that's super intimidating, just make a list of 2 or 3 lead magnets that are related to the topic, maybe that you have, or maybe articles you have, or something you could make. And then throughout the interview, drop them. Make up the URL, make it contextual to the interview. Go listen to this. I don't know. This interview is probably 4 or 5 years old now. Go just Google search Brian Harris, Pat Flynn podcast and listen to my interview with Pat. It'll walk you through a really cool product validation methodology, but also all throughout that interview, I'm dropping call to actions. And it doesn't feel weird. It's not like I'm hard selling anybody on anything. I'm just like, oh, we just talked about the little survey we send to people that buy to find out more so we can find out how to find more people like them. Here's the basic gist of it. And by the way, I just have the full survey. It's just at, growthtools.com/Pat, and you'll get all the resources that I just mentioned. That's how I do it naturally. So drop contextual call to actions throughout the podcast interview. Number 3, mention your product at the beginning and end. You're going to have, I think that, I don't want to get this stat wrong. The average podcast our clients go on and I go on is around 1,000 to 5,000 people listening to a single episode. So just imagine, that's crazy that you can pretty easily get in front of speak in front of a crowd of 1,000 people. That's a big stage if you're a public speaker, and you can just casually send a couple emails out this week and book one of those. So if you're in front of a stage, 1,000 people in the audience, you just said at the beginning, hey, my name's Brian. I work at Growth Tools, and we do a coaching product. We help online course creators and coaches and businesses. We audit their offer, audit their avatar, make a marketing plan for them, and make it almost impossible to fail to double their business this year. That's what we do. Growthtools.com. That's it. Very soft. It's just literally telling you what I do. And at the end, I might say the same thing again, or a variation of that. So at the beginning and end, literally just mention your product and say what problem it solves. And number 4, show, don't tell. Meaning, as much as humanly possible, give examples of what you're talking about. Don't talk in high-level theory. Don't just talk about, maybe in context of this, anchor, when, ask. Do anchor, when, ask, and then drop a script on them and just read through the script with them. You got more from me showing that script than I did the graphic with anchor, when, ask. That's showing, not just telling. So don't just tell, show them as much as possible. Now, a podcast isn't a visual medium, so you have to describe it in words, but this is part of really number 1, giving a good interview. Go in depth with what you're talking about and give examples of it. So that's pro tip number 4. Zoom all the way back out for a second. The 2 things you have to do to get customers, the way customers happen, is you attract leads. The easiest way to attract them is just to go where they already are. Go where that person, the owner of those people, the audience already has trust. Go to them. Let them tell them for you. And then just put a call to action in front of them. Tell them what your product is. Most people won't buy immediately. That's great. You build trust with them. Over time, you nurture that. Going on a podcast tour is, I think if you combined ease of implementation, the impact, and the confidence of it working, you were to rank your lead generation strategies on a scale, that is one of, if not the single most effective lead gen strategies. Do what we just talked about. Do one a week. one podcast interview a week in front of, if once a week you get in front of a stage of 1,000 people and educated them for 30 minutes and dropped a link to your thing at the end of it, how many people do you think would buy from you? A lot of them. Like, it works really well. So anyway, if you want me to help you do this, drop interested in chat. This is literally what we do. We help you find podcasts. We help you get on them. We help you optimize your entire marketing system so you actually have leads coming in. Like, if any of you answered under 1,000 a month, under 1,000 leads coming in, or if you answered you have a lead generation problem, like, we can help you solve that. We'll make a plan for you, not just some cookie cutter thing. We'll literally ask you hundreds of questions, learn all about you, audit your offer, audit your avatar. We'll even look over your vision and revenue goals, make all that stuff synced up and work together, and then coach you through executing and implementing all that. And we guarantee the result. Like, if you don't ROI your investment in 90 days, we give your money back and $1,000 to hire another coach. So we guarantee our coaching result because it's a really good system, and we need that forcing function to make sure the product's amazing. So anyway, if you want help with that, if you want to, like, personal help walking through and doing what we do today, put interested. A couple people on the team are here. They'll DM you in Zoom. So just pay attention to Zoom chat. And they'll send you a couple times. We can jump on and chat. We'll literally just have a call, learn about you, talk with you like a real human, picking up the phone and talking to you about your business, learning about it a little bit, asking you some questions, digging in and seeing, like, all right, of what we talked today and of what we talked about in other workshops that we posted, like, what makes sense for you to do? And we'll work on that. So anyway, put interested. Drew or Ben will follow up with you, maybe Bethany, set up a time. Okay, coming up in about 10 minutes. Cody's been hanging out with us here the whole time, or about, I don't know how many minutes late now. I'm starting our interview, but we're going to do a couple things before we go to Cody. So Cody's going to walk through, Cody, let me maybe back up for a minute. Cody runs marketing for a company called 3 Key Elements. They sell a variety of courses and coaching products. Cody did a really cool marketing thing recently. I think it's one email. I actually don't know all the details. I intentionally don't know. I think it was one email he sent that generated $67,000 in sales, which is a lot for anybody, including Cody's company. So we're going to break down what he did, why he did it. Hopefully he'll share the email so we can actually see the email and y'all can copy it and use it in your context. So we'll do talk with Cody in a minute. We're going to bring him on at the end. First, I want to get your advice on something. So one of the best ways to learn and to find opportunities for yourself in your business is to coach other people. 100%. The best things I've ever thought of for growth tools were generated from me doing one-on-one coaching calls with people. Because, like, it's way easier to see problems with other people's marriages and solve them with your friends versus looking at your own and analyzing your own and trying to solve them. So same thing works in business. So a segment we did last Shop Talk was, I need your advice. We're going to do it again and see, because one, I loved your advice. We got great ideas last time, and I need your advice again. So I'm going to get your advice. So it won't take too long on this, but I want to get your opinion on something. Me and Ben were actually talking about this last week. We met up in San Francisco for a few days with Bill, our marketing director, and kind of were hashing out some ideas for the year. And anyway, we got home and Ben sent us both the messages like, hey guys, we didn't talk about SMS at all. It's kind of been a common theme of, should we do anything with SMS or not? Okay, so here's the deal. We have an SMS list of like 55,000 people. That list I would classify as cold to lukewarm, meaning those people came and opted into one of the free tools that we have and left their phone number at the point of sign in, got a message immediately that said, hey, this is Brian. We'll send you some messages on something. I don't know exactly what it said, but it was in your growth tips or something. And then we pretty much haven't sent them anything or super erratically sent them stuff. So that's the list of 50,000-ish. We have another list of 7,000 people that I would classify as like lukewarm to warm, meaning these are people in the last 2 years or year or 2 years or some time span that have scheduled coaching and sales calls with us. These are people, like, a lot of them we've talked to, many of them didn't, most of them didn't buy. I didn't decide to hire us for whatever reason, but these are people that literally schedule calls with us and either didn't show or showed, either bought or didn't buy. So those are the 2 different lists. Lukewarm to cold, big group, smaller group of 7,000. You're the director of marketing for growth tools for the day. You're in charge of SMS marketing. What do you do with those? What's your strategy? If you have a big audience, hasn't been managed all that well, hasn't been sent too much at all. Occasionally, mostly direct CTAs to buy something or to do something. Not a lot of nurture stuff going on. So they're cold, probably not an extreme amount of trust, although a lot of them would be on the email list as well. So they've been getting that. What do you do? We need ideas. Ben, what do you do? Let's prime people.
What do I do? I would send, so we got the daily newsletter that we're working on, and I would do a weekly roundup for our best content of the week, just like total value add, or one friendly, light, CTA, if that's what the goal is, to book calls from the SMS list. But I think you start burning more than 2-3 extra a week.
You think you start what?
burning subscribers if you send too many times.
Yeah, one a week seems. Invite to a live Q&A. Nelly said, I would do a mini survey to further segment the list. What would your survey be?
Yeah.
What are you looking to segment? Send a message to point to an exclusive workshop for SMS list only. Ooh, that's interesting.
Huh.
So like here's a random idea, just building on that. I don't know if this makes sense, but you could do like a pre-shop talk workshop just for SMS people, where it's like the first 10 minutes and it's sharing some inside thing we learned recently that we legitimately don't want a ton of people to know about, but we want them to know about. I don't know, something like that. You build it onto a thing that already exists. Oh, somebody wrote a note. Oh, Drew wrote it. Oh, I think you meant to send that via private message. Focus on the 7K list and craft a short teaser message that'll include a link and use a teaser to get them to click through. Then send them more Okay, so here's what we'll do. The best tip we get, I don't know if we'll fully commit. Maybe we will. We want to pick one tip that we'll use between now and next shop talk. How about that, Ben? Let's pick one thing we'll use between our next shop talk, and we'll like literally share the results next week. So just make sure we do this. I don't forget. The person's tip we pick, we'll do it, and then we'll send you the book of the week, the new gold standard Rich Carlton book. So let's post ideas. We'll do yours. So if it's super big, we probably aren't going to do it the next week. If it's something practical and doable immediately, like a small test or something, and it could build into a new thing, do that. Barry, ask them to refer you. SMS. Okay, Heather Eakin said SMS needs to connect with them more personally than email. Yeah, that is real. Because I feel like we could send like a direct CTA. One, SMS is not cheap. That if you send a broadcast message to 50,000 people, I don't know. I think it's like 2 cents domestically. So what's 2 cents? It's like $1,000 send, which all you got to do is get one client and you make that up, which you almost for sure would. You'd probably flood calendars with it. Actually, you probably wouldn't even want to do that. But anyway, create a fun, productive challenge and give them a playlist for the productivity while they do it in their own work. Let's see what else we got. Any of these stand out to you, Ben? Send them a free gift, a quick checklist.
Yeah, the free gift. I like the VIP list because that was something we had specifically discussed. Don't have a tip, but we're about to start Join Us Now text. Yeah, one of the things that we've been doing in our show up sequence for calls is sending a contact card, which I'm not 100% sure you can do called SMS, but that would be definitely something for folks to remember.
Ask them to take any type of action so they feel engaged. Give them the book after you interview the author. Give away the book after you interview the author. That's interesting. What was yours, Ben? You said something about a roundup, like you send a text with here's like top 3 things of the week or something.
Yeah, so for anyone that's already on our daily newsletter, we just give stuff away, like total value add content 5 days a week, and then we could send a roundup email with. Because we're doing those roundup emails on weekends, and SMS would be an easy way to send it all in one spot.
All right, we got to pick one. Steve,
let's do
a very short message or won't be read. Give them a link for info they have to grow their business, like a white paper, usual info, no selling. Well, okay, take this shop talk, for instance. We could send out the podcast scripts. You just got to kind of explain that a little bit. Kind of get the concept for that to be super valuable.
Spotlight someone from your newsletter group.
That's good.
That's interesting.
We could take like one of the case studies is really what that's done and repurpose the content of some sort. Okay. Any one of these particular ones stand out, Ben? We got to pick somebody to give a book to. And
I like the case study idea for Glenn, actually. I think that's my favorite that I've seen.
Okay, case study nominee number 1. Nominee number 2 I'll give would be cut out the workshop part of this shop talk, the part where we did the podcast tour deal, give it a name, and release it to the SMS list as a special new training we just released for free. And the message might read like, hey, Heather, just recorded a brand new training on how to generate 500 leads a month for free. It's free. Click here to get the video. And then maybe on the page somewhere you have a CTA to book a call, and in the video, maybe at the end you edit in a CTA at the end or something. And then it's repurposing content we already have. And we'll have shop talks every week, so we theoretically could do that every week or some variation of that.
Yeah.
We have another top nominee. So we got case study, some version of a case study. We got literally take shop talk workshop and cut it out.
Better we announce the challenge. Leanne says the 21 14-day challenge, kind of like how the Bible app does it. They send a daily devotional via text message. So I like.
And you could ask them to opt in for it, which I kind of like approaching those 60,000 people with like, hey, we're going to run an SMS based grow your business challenge, and you're going to get a text every day for 21 days. And at the end, you'll have this result. If you want it, just type yes back. And we segment those people off, which several people have mentioned segmenting to get to active people. And then that'll probably just be a couple thousand people or something, but they should be super engaged people. I like that. I don't know if we can do that next week though. It'd have to be simpler. 21 days in a row of text and concept of the challenge will take a minute.
Well, we can do a minute one because we have some email campaigns that fit the bill.
Okay. Let's commit to that. A 5-day, 7-day, some short time range challenge. We broadcast to everybody. We announce the challenge. People directly opt in for it. We don't talk to anybody, the other people after that. We talk to the sub list after that. And then we have to figure out where to put CTAs in the thing. So it actually, gets at least a client or two.
Yeah.
I like that though. That feels good.
Cool.
We're going to actually do that, Ben?
Yeah, let's do it. Leanne Ellington, we're going with your idea. So
I love it.
Come back next week.
This is great.
I'll tell you
Hey,
how
by
it
the way,
goes.
this is like literally on every marketing thing we do. It's like the nice thing is here you have a shot clock, so you have to do something. Okay, so Leanne, message Bethany Beckett or Bethany at Growth Tools, or send her a message on Zoom, and we'll get it. We'll do
By
this.
the way, thanks everyone. There are a lot of good ideas. That's good.
All right, last thing. We'll go through this quick before we get to Kevin, since we're over time. What's going on? Oh, there we go. 3 quick recommendations. My Google slides are being super weird. What is going on? Oh, there we go. Well, it's erratically working. All right, maybe we'll save these for next week. All right, Cody, let's jump into interview. My slides aren't working for the other stuff, and we're a little over time, so we'll jump in. So this is the official end of Shop Talk. We're going to have an after hours segment now. We're going to do one thing, maybe 2 things. And after hours, we're going to talk to Cody, learn what he did to generate $67,000 of sales from one email, share the email, learn about him, learn about his company a little bit. You'll pick up some tips and tricks. Second thing is if there's time, if we go past 4:30 Central Time, we'll save this for next time. But we'll do a workshop where we pull a few people on stage on Zoom here and actually find some podcasts for you. So we'll workshop what we actually just did. So that's the 2 things that happen after hours. If you want to stay for after hours, let us know in chat. Do after hour, type after hours in chat, and we'll know how many people are going to be here. We'll jump in and interview Cody, learn about him, and then workshop some stuff that we've done today. Yeah, cool. All right, so Cody, welcome in. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So give us a quick run through of what problem do you solve and what product do you sell?
Yeah, great. So we've been doing coaching for, like 17 years now, and I've had all kinds of different programs. Right now, our main focus is a program where we help up and coming coaches basically finish their coaching program. Because a lot of people get stuck in the content creation, figuring out how to figure out how they're going to deliver their appointments, what are they going to talk about, just organizing their thoughts basically. Mm-hmm. So that's like the main thing we focus on in our coaching program. We help people to finish creating their coaching program. And so that program is called the Kirk Duncan Mastermind. Kirk Duncan's my father, who owns the company, founded the company. And we've been running the Mastermind for, probably about a couple of years now in its current state of being focused on up and coming coaches.
Okay,
that
cool.
kind of covers what you're looking for.
So how many people are in the Mastermind?
Right now, between, I think 60 something.
Okay.
Members of the Mastermind right now.
And what's the price point to join? How does the pricing work? Just the basic structure.
Yeah. Depending on what promotions, or like you'll see in the email we did, varies between 7,500. Well, I guess 7,500 to up to 10,000 range.
And is that an annual fee, or does that?
That's for 18 weeks of the base program.
Gotcha.
Yep.
What happens after that? Is there something they step up?
So after that, basically they have an option to continue in the program at a subscription rate. There's a monthly option or a quarterly option for that subscription, and then they kind of unlock some additional support and training and other coaches from our team that support them on other kind of ongoing principles to keep growing their coaching business.
Okay, cool. What's the range of the monthly fee after that?
You're asking me questions that I didn't have memorized. So I think, if I remember correctly, the quarterly rate is like a little over $1,000,
Okay.
If you do it monthly, I think it's around $500 a month, something like
Okay.
that.
Cool. So 7 to 10K up front, that's 18 weeks. What is that, like a quarter and a half or something? And then around $500 to $1,000 a month after that to continue. The primary problem you're solving is getting kind of your offer and your structure and everything set up to and to start your coaching program.
Yeah. Yep. So that at that point they can go on and confidently begin offering and selling it.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
What's audience size, just for frame of reference?
Audience size as in,
like email list or social, whatever.
Yeah. So we have, I think like 18, 19,000 on our email list. On YouTube, we have, when we do get leads from YouTube, we have like 74,000 YouTube subscribers.
Okay.
Facebook, I mean, between our various Facebook and Instagram pages, from, Kirk pages, and then like my dad, and then the company pages, I think we have a collective probably 15 to 18,000, kind of spread across those different pages.
Okay. So recently you sent an email out that led to $67,000 of sales in just a week and a half or so.
Yeah.
Before we look at the email, well, maybe just tell us, what was the email? Why did you send it? Why did it work so well?
Yeah. So what's cool is there was the 67,000 from one email.
Mm-hmm.
In total, though, within, I don't know, probably between 7 to 10 months, there was a handful of times that I decided to go model one of your emails. And in total, I've supported the company in generating over $180,000 in sales from modeling your emails. So that one single email was the 67,000. So that was like kind of the biggest winner of all the ones that I had tried, but pretty much every one I tried worked to some extent and did well and produced sales. So
first off, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second, what made the $67,000 one work so well?
Yeah. Well, I think there was kind of multiple aspects there. One of them was, kind of a specific promotion we decided to do in the email, which was to offer a just kind of upfront app, because we often, when we're on our, sales calls, or we call them epiphany calls, I think you guys do kind of a similar thing sometimes. By discretion, certain people can, maybe qualify for a scholarship of a certain amount, to help them towards the program. So we do a similar thing, and we decided, why not just say that we have X number of scholarships up front and an email available, and there's only so many, and they're going to go fast. Yeah. And so we said that we had 10 $2,000 scholarships toward joining our mastermind available. Yeah. And that was really exciting to people, and, prompted them to take action quickly.
That's a really smart angle. I don't know if we've done that exactly, actually. We've done spots available in a mastermind or a subgroup or something, but putting the spots available around a discount, that's interesting. Ben, we need to make a note of that. We need to get, so do you have the email? Can you just screen share?
I do, yeah.
All right, but let's do that. Then we'll just copy yours and send it as well.
Yeah, cool. Do you want me to share a screen?
Yep.
Okay, cool. One sec.
Hey, by the way, in chat, if this is helpful for you, like, let us know. If you want to see the email, type email or something, so we know. I'm just curious what parts of this you like and what part's helpful.
Okay, so I just copied this all into a Google Doc, so it can be easily shareable. I can drop the link in the chat here.
Okay. But drop the link if you don't mind. That'd be great.
Yeah, let me drop the link right now.
Because we'll totally put it in the replay that goes out Saturday, so people can look at it. Sweet. Thanks, Jason, Nelly. Appreciate y'all.
Okay. All right, I'll share. Sorry, one sec.
Perfect. Now you're good. Email. Ramelia coming to you. Jason, Nelly. He's about to throw it in. Yep. Hey, Ben, is there a delay on Zoom webinar? Like there is on some webinar software, or is it instant like regular Zoom? Do we know?
Delay for what? Like playback and audio? Because this is seems to be real time.
Real time. Okay. I guess we're talking to each other, so there can't be a delay. Yeah. Like some webinar software, there's delays back and forth. I didn't know.
Webinar Jam's like 30 seconds.
Yeah, Google Hangouts was like that. It was like a minute, which trying to interact live with people is a total disaster.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, so somebody real quick, it's 4:09 p.m. Well, somebody, that's Central Time. So somebody in chat, verify what time it is real quick. We'll see if there's a delay at all. Okay, go ahead. Read the email.
Cool. Yeah. So this one it's a bit of a longer one. A lot of the ones I modeled of yours were shorter. This one happened to be a little bit of a longer one. So 10 scholarships for coaches, $2,000 each. Do you want me to go through everything or?
Can I read it? I know that might be weird to read your email, but that's how.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And drop a link in chat if you don't mind too.
Yes, I did. Yeah,
okay,
it should be in the chat there.
All right, subject line, 10 scholarships for coaches, 2,000 each. This is a great subject line, like straight into the point. Starting or growing your coaching business does not have to be complicated. Now, before you object, let me say this. I spent years of hard work and thousands of dollars before I finally figured that out. For a long time, I thought that running a profitable coaching business meant that I have to have everything perfect. It was a roller coaster ride with a handful of wins, but many more massive failures. Everybody's hitting it now. Some of the crazy characters go on. Until I learned the real secret to success. You have to start before you're ready. Hear me out. If right now you're feeling the call to teach and serve others, but you're thinking you need to wait till you perfected your own life first, you're in the business graveyard. I love naming things like that, by the way. Good job. There are thousands of other businesses starting every single day, and I guarantee you that none of them are perfect, especially the ones that seem like they are. Amen. In other words, it's not what it looks like. In other words, it's not what it looks like. Most coaches out there look like they've got it all together and know exactly what they're doing. 98% are actually flying by the seat of their pants, and that's okay. See, when you start before you're ready, something magical happens. I love that as a name of a campaign, or by the way, the Before You're Ready campaign. I mean, that target beginner specifically, but that's your main avatar. You leave the business graveyard and begin the process of actually creating the business you want. And this is a huge shift. Successful coaches don't wait till they're perfect. They teach from where they're at and continue learning along the way. Starting before you're ready is hands down the best way to grow your business. In fact, it's pretty much the only way. And here's the really cool part. Starting before you're ready means you don't have to be the smartest or most talented person in the world or even in your industry. Just think, you don't have to be Albert Einstein, blah, 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 blah. So what is it that makes the expert the expert? Simple. That's what they teach and how they teach it. If you're messy or disorganized at what you teach, that's because that's what your customers will do. Now, obviously, it's a bit more explaining things simply, which is why we created, okay, now you get to the pitch, which is why we created the Mastermind, a private training ground for a select group of up and coming coaches. But love labeling the type of coach you're looking for there too. That's good. Who want to launch and organize their first coaching program. Again, organizing and or segmenting. Here's how it'll work. And you list out exactly how it works. That's good. Interested in joining us, click here to schedule. Here's what will happen next. So you don't mention oh, here we go. The scholarship at the very end. Here's what will happen next. We'll ask you a few details. Team will contact you if it's a fit. Simple, right? Almost forgot. We only have 10 $2,000 Mastermind scholarships. And I guess this has all of the subject lines. So you kind of seeded it in the beginning and left the actual finale for the very end.
Yeah.
Book or call now. Kirk, help us award these scholarships to the most deserving coaches. For this email, that's a really good hook too. I love that at the end. Forward this to someone to help us award them. That's really, really good framing. I like it. Okay, so how many people got this email and how many people booked calls from it?
Yeah, I got those numbers on another screen. 1 second. So we sent this email to just shy of 18,000 on our email list. Okay. At an 18.7% open rate. We ended up having like between 20 and 30 calls booked. And then that led to the $67,000 in sales. And it was an average of 7,500 to 8,000 for each enrollment.
So that's like nine clients from 25 book calls into 18,000 people.
Yep.
That's really good. Did you build on this email? Did you send another email tied to this, like more scholarships remaining, scholarships are expiring type of stuff? Or was this the one shot email?
I'm trying to remember. I think we did. I want to say we sent, well, I'm trying to remember because I know I've done that. I've like I said, I've modeled multiple of your emails. I know we've done that before where we had kind of a follow-up of like 3 are left. We may have done that with this one. It may have just been this one email because I remember that we were so shocked by the reaction of just the one email that, I mean, our calendars were booked for like the next 2 weeks. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, really good. The subject line, Ginger's asking the subject line. I forget, what was the wording of it? I read it, but
10 scholarships for coaches, $2,000 each.
Cool. And there's a link, Ginger, up in chat. You can go grab the email and
it should be in the chat.
Yeah.
And I made it so anybody can view. So yeah.
So why do you think this works so well?
Yeah, like I said, I think the $2,000 and there being a limit and that being called out, first thing, I think one of our number one objections is just the cost. Almost everybody I talk to on one of our calls wants to do it. Sorry about that. I had my do not disturb on for the hour, and then we went beyond the hour.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah. So anyways, the number one objection we get is just, whether or not they can get their finances together, because everybody we talk to, we have a very low percentage of people that book a call, and it turns out that they actually don't want the program. Almost everybody wants to join. It's just, whether or not they can work the funds to do it. And so I think leading with solving their number one doubt or concern of what may this cost, and, will I be able to afford it? Of like, hey, we'll help you, kind of leading with that, I think got a lot of people's attention. The limit to being 10 people, I think we even said, I want to go back down to the bottom. I can't remember if it was in this one. I know often with these, we'll also add in, like, there's the limit of the number of people, but then also this is only good for, you have to schedule a call by Friday. I can't remember if that was incorporated in this or not. But just the incentive to book quickly. Oh, and the last thing I will say that was that multiple people on the calls, because again, I was doing a lot of these calls, a lot of the people that got on the calls said that mentioned specific things about the email that made them feel like this was their time and they could actually do it. That whole aspect of like, before you're ready. And so that's how I know the modeling your email and writing the email the way it was made a significant impact, because literally multiple of the people specifically mentioned on the call, man, when I read that email, I felt like, wow, this is my time. I think I can do this. Like, it's time to start. Yeah. So that seemed to have worked really well.
That's good. A couple questions from chat to follow up, and I got a follow up or two. How often do you email your list currently? Lisa asked that.
Every week. We send at least one email per week that's like a letter from Kirk, kind of just like how you call it, like a behind the scenes type email.
Yeah.
And so we have that's happening every Saturday. And then we have webinars that he's doing usually twice a month. And whenever there's a webinar coming up, then we, at least send, a couple, maybe 3 emails leading up to it within, 7 days leading up to whenever that webinar is.
Cool. Nelly asked, what's the cost of the program? And that was 7 to 10K-ish. And then this is a good question. How did you pick the winners of the scholarships? How did you decide who to give them to?
So basically it was through the process of doing the call, like making sure that they are a good fit for the program. Obviously, if somebody was not a good fit for the program, we were not going to, offer them that scholarship. So it was mostly through the qualification process of, the questions that they answer when they go to book the call, and then on the call, the questions we ask and everything, kind of pre-qualifying them and everything. That basically determined, and then the first 10 people who went basically qualified and were like, yeah, let's do this. Then we said, okay, you get one of these 10.
Yeah, cool. Do you have any kind of application before the schedule page? Like when you sent that email out, they clicked and they went to what? What was the page?
Yeah, so in this case, we sent them directly to the book a call page, which we use Calendly. So Calendly is embedded onto our landing page. And normally we have like a step before that in the funnel where they're, it's all about the mastermind. But here, where we just described it so much, what I found, and most of the times I've modeled your emails and led people directly to a call, I just sent them directly to the book a call page instead of the step before. And so they go there, and then when they pick the time is when they go to answer all those questions. I think we have 10 questions that they answer just to, kind of pre-qualify them.
Yeah. All right, zoom out for a minute. What are your big goals in your business for 2022?
Good question. Well, we're actually planning on a lot of upgrades to this program, and upgrades in an interesting sense of actually simplifying the program in a lot of ways, and really fine tuning it to exactly the content and the type of support that will support our clients better. But actually, we're in Growth University, and so we're right now working towards kind of having a good system. I'm just finishing up the partnership playbook, so I'm beginning to, do those pitches and kind of implementing that system. So that's one of our big goals this year, is to really dig deep into doing pitches. I mean, everything you taught so far on this, really digging into that process system.
Good refresher then today.
Yeah, it was great. Actually, it was really good. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Very cool. Any parting advice for someone considering hiring a coach to help them grow their business? You do that. We do that. Just in general, someone that's interested in coaching to help them. Like I have a friend who just hired like 4 coaches to start the year, which I don't know if he's ever hired a coach before. And all of a sudden he's hiring a ton of coaches. I've hired dozens of coaches over the last year or two. What advice would you give for someone considering hiring a coach for the first time?
Yeah, great question. I would recommend making sure they're a good coach. Don't hire any random Joe walking down the street. But also just making sure whatever coach you're hiring aligns with what your goals and the problems that you want to solve. I do see sometimes where somebody gets excited because they like a person, but that person doesn't actually have the solutions to their problems. And so they'll pay them money, but they're not going to be happy in the end because they're not solving their problems, or supporting them to figure out how to solve the problems. But definitely I would recommend getting coaches, because we do coaching and we've been hiring coaches for, a couple decades now. As we continue to grow, every time we've hired a coach I would say, especially in the last few years, every time we've hired a coach, even when maybe we didn't finish perfectly their entire program or do all the modules or do everything they said, every time we've done it, it has represented a pivotal shift in our business that led to greater success. So really,
there's something about paying money and really listening to somebody. That really listening is almost impossible to replicate unless you pay them some good money to do it. That produces like a halo effect. Even if the direct thing doesn't totally hit what you thought, like I'm the same way. I've never had a scenario that I can think of that paying, even if the thing didn't pan out, like the overall was totally a net positive. Okay, I have a couple more questions for a couple follow-ups from chat and one random one. What's the most obscure coach y'all hired, or niche coach you've hired?
Niche coach hired.
Like one time we hired a coach to help us with our webinars specifically. So that'd be a niche one. That's not really obscure, but like, I don't know, a specialty kind of coach. I found it interesting when friends share the different coaches they hired. Like, I wouldn't even consider that to be a thing that was like possible. Like I didn't have that as a category of things. So I don't know. Are there some over the last couple of decades y'all hired that maybe wouldn't be common knowledge of somebody coaches on this?
Yeah. The first one that comes to my mind is actually a coach who helped us. Like sometimes it felt like therapy, but it was like, because it was so digging into specifically my dad, as our head coach and as the owner of the company, we all supported him through doing this assignment. But this assignment, it was one assignment, took him literally about a year to complete, but it was digging into his own personal pains and blisses in his life. And the deeper he understood his own pains and blisses, the idea was that the more he's going to understand our clients and be able to speak to them at a really, really deep level. And it's like freaking out. Every time I'm on a sales call, people are saying, I was on that webinar with Kirk, and I swear he has cameras watching me in my house because he knows me better than anybody. Like, what the heck, And so that was a really interesting direction that I wouldn't have expected would have made such a big difference. Do
you know who the coach was?
Her name's Geeta Nadkarni.
Okay, Ben, figure out how to spell that and pop us in URL in chat.
I think I remember how to spell it.
Nadkarni.
I gotta check her out. Her coaching program is called Impact with Influence. So
very cool. All right, a couple follow-ups from chat real quick on the mechanics of the email thing. Nelly asked, did you try to convert the people who didn't win the scholarship? So people that would have got through and maybe money's not a problem for them, so they didn't win it. Did you try to convert them to the program still?
Good question. In this case, by the time we went through qualification, people that were, into it, wanted to do it and everything, I don't think we ended up, at least from the people who booked a call, I don't think there was anybody who wanted to join and didn't qualify for a scholarship. So in this case, that wasn't like an issue. In the future, if that happened, then of course we would still try and, convert them, but that wasn't the case this time.
And yes, you should try to convert the people
Yeah,
who
of
are
course,
overqualified with money. Still try to sell
Yeah.
those people.
Yeah.
Just like don't qualify for scholarship.
Yeah,
But we
yeah.
have the program you can buy. Yes, for sure.
No, totally. Yeah.
Jason had one last question. Do y'all do full pay only, or do you do split pays of that $7,000 and
Yeah,
$10,000?
we do. So basically it's 7,500 if you pay in full. I mean, with this scholarship applied, 7,500 if you pay in full, or 8,000 broken into four $2,000 payments.
Okay.
And the program being, 18 weeks, it's just over 4 months. It's basically 4 payments of 2,000. Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Man, thank you so much, Cody, for coming. I appreciate you sharing all the details. Thanks for dropping links and Google Docs. And this is super helpful. As when we send out the replay, we'll include that so everybody can check it out. And everybody go check out Cody's site, 3keyelements.com, I believe. I Googled it and clicked from there. So anyway, go check out his site, what he's doing, and reverse engineer what he's doing. Go check out what he's doing and model and find a couple things that are working really well. You already got one thing that works well in the email. So go find it. We'll be trying a variation of that coming soon on the email list. So
Cool.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Cody.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. See ya. All right. All right. We're right at 4:30. So we're going to do workshop today. If you want to, maybe next time we'll move workshop to before interview. So I don't want to go past an hour and a half or so right now. Try to keep it tight. So I appreciate everybody for coming today. If you're interested in us doing for you what we've helped Cody with, finding partners, writing good emails, making a marketing plan for his company. If you want to walk through the podcast tour strategy that we talked about today, find partners for you, help you workshop your offer so it actually converts, find the right people to sell it to, make a good avatar profile for you, drop just interested in chat. And you can probably find Drew's dropped a few times. He's one of our coaches here, a link that you could schedule. But just drop interested in chat, type the interested in chat, and we'll follow up with you and pick a time and literally just sit there for 30 minutes to an hour, learn about your business, talk with you, share some things that work for us in context of you, and help coach you, just like we've done for Cody. So thank y'all for being here. Appreciate all y'all. We'll send out a replay for this on Saturday, I think, is when our replay emails go out. And yeah, we'll see you soon. So y'all take care. Bye-bye. And I didn't really think this through all that well, except for people said they were interested. So I'll just leave this on. So Drew, you have time.
Let's just hang out for a sec.
Follow up.
We can hang out.
We can.
If there's any kind of like, what would you say, like hanging questions that you guys have, like we'll just be here for like 5 minutes and like let's just handle that. And
we can workshop real quick if we want. We got 3 or 4 minutes. I don't know if that'd be helpful there. Yeah, drop questions. And if not, hey, let's do this. This will be on a prompt conversation while Drew follows up with people. Whoever wants us to find 5 potential podcasts for you to reach out to, or for us to reach out to together, if you wind up us working together, put I don't know, me in chat or something, or maybe put your URL in chat. Kimberly, you're the first one, so put your URL in chat, and we'll maybe make Kimberly whatever we call them, presenter or panelist or something, so we can see your face and talk.
I'm a panelist. Yeah.
If you're up for that, Kimberly, so we can actually talk about you just a little bit.
She dropped her website. Okay, that's cool.
That's Leontine Buxton. All right. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm terrible at names. Okay. All right. Let me just share screen. Here we go. All right. Here's Leontine. I help you be free so you can live your full life. So first thing I'm going to do, we'll wind up doing a little bit of a website audit on this as well. I want to figure out what problem she solves. Brainstorm list. What causes the problem and what results from the problem. And this won't be super clean. This will just be words that I see on the page and can think of related to her stuff as we go. That's going to be step 1. And then step 2, we're going to start searching for podcasts. And you could go to Podchaser or iTunes immediately and type in life coach, which I think is the category of thing that you are. Empowerment, self-doubt, living the life you want. Oh, this is great. Like a list of things, and we could probably brainstorm from this. I'll put this in the brainstorm list. Yeah, I don't remember what I was saying now. Anyway, we'll find a handful of, it'll be easy to find things related directly to your topic, but the magic comes in finding things like right on like the shoulder industries to it. All right, so let's see, Ben, if we can distill down unhealed pain, self-doubt, fears. Let's maybe read the rest of her page. We all have our own unique path in life. Once you're in it, you feel free and centered. Things will come up naturally. Hey, let me just cut to the chase. Leontine, how would you quickly describe the problem you solve for people? How would you distill that down? You could either type or talk. You're a presenter now, so you could talk if you wanted. Just to save me distillation time here. Once you fully own and integrate your story, I help my clients bring out their story and make them more impactful. Once you really get to know and embrace the story of your life, knowing your story gives you power to, but I'm a little unclear. Okay, transformation coach. Is this for like my personal life? Is it for my business? You said life and business at the top. Part of me is like, what's the deliverable I get? What's the thing I get? I get knowing your story gives you power. Well, how would you distill this down, Ben? What's the actual problem we're solving here?
Okay, so I think the bullets were the best one. Unhappy in your relationship, unhealed pain. So I think like all of these are actually different enough. You could have your own unique offer about them.
This program is a yummy because it contains the best of the best of my proven methods, techniques, and result-based, the free unstoppable breakthrough. How would you describe this, Bethany? How would you distill down the problem this solves? Anything come to mind?
She just put in chat actually.
Oh, cool. I don't have chat.
Instant relief and deep healing of the invisible undercurrent that is holding you back from living your best life.
Remove blockers, aka heal trauma, so you can live the life you want. Something like that would be a version of that, I think.
Yeah,
so things that can cause that is trauma in your life, bad parents, or acute childhood trauma, divorce, money problems. I don't know, any kind of like traumatic type of thing is going to create a blocker for you that you're probably going to have a hard time moving past. Mentoring the professionals. That's an interesting way to summarize. That's maybe the solution. Apparently we're so past time that my 2-year-old has now walked upstairs and is knocking on my door, yelling dad. So Willow is demanding us ending soon. All right, we'll wrap up here. All right, things that result from this. I don't know, unhappy, low energy, not being fulfilled, knowing there is more, but not being able to achieve it or get to it or something like that. Okay, this is enough of a brain dump. So now, the daughter's knocking and the dog is whining and barking now. And they're both within like 3 feet of me. Okay, so let's go to Podchaser now. This is my preferred search. You can go to iTunes as well, but I think this is free. So we'll type in like, I don't know, let's type in trauma. That would be a cause of a blocker. Trauma list. It's not you, it's your trauma. Okay, so what are, I forget these icons on 3 list. The on-call empath, dying for sex. Oh, sex would totally be a cause and a result, probably. Lack thereof or bad versions of. Secret Life, Scratch Your Own Itch with Logan Tylerson. One thing I don't like about this directory is I can't get an idea of the size at all. Is there been a web-based iTunes search? Or is it all?
Someone mentioned listen notes. That might be a good one to check real quick and see.
That's the one you used, isn't it, Bethany?
Yes,
Let's try
I
this.
haven't used it in a while.
I want the reviews on here because that gives you an idea of the size. Because you don't want to go too big. You don't want to get ones with no reviews.
Yeah.
Here's another thing you do. Top trauma podcast. And you'll get a list. Yeah, best 20 trauma podcasts you can follow. Okay, here. FeedSpot. That's the one I like, not Podchaser. Okay, anyway. And because so here they give you the frequency, average length, social profile, sizes. You can get a really good idea of the size of the thing. It's typically what I'll do. Just like trauma as a seed word here. I'll just scroll down a little bit to about halfway down because I'm not going to start at the top ones unless Leotine, which again, I'm probably butchering your name. Unless you have a big platform and you're known or something. If so, just start at the top. Like if people know who you are. The Christian Emotional Recovery. Schedule to chat. Awesome. Bear Psychology Podcast, Transform Trauma Podcast. So like all of these would be potential ones. Let's write a few of these down. The trauma, 1 episode a quarter. That's like way too irregular. Transforming Trauma. This is an interesting one. Okay, let's put this down as a potential. So what we'll do, like when people hire us and we're working with them, we'll just spend a couple of hours just doing this, just kind of digging through. And I don't know what's happened now. We'll make a big list and 80% of them won't be relevant. The 20% will. So we'll just spend time looking through. And we'll even ask you at the beginning, would you rather do interviews, or would you rather write, or would you rather do workshops? Because that'll decide even if you do a podcast tour, blog post tour, or Facebook live tour. So we'll kind of modify them a little bit, but you get the idea of what we're doing. Let's use another seed word here. Or let's copy the trauma sense. I know that's the one we didn't want to do. What was the one? Oh yeah, transforming trauma. So let's just put this name down. Transforming Trauma podcast. All right, what's another keyword we had? Kind of like, I'm using the word career, but I'm not looking for like career advice, but like, because she works with professionals. She talked about business, maybe career development, and you're a woman. So let's maybe go like career development for women, because they might not be thinking they might not use the same words as you. Here it is, Career Women Podcast. But a problem with not having the career they want might be some type of trauma or blocker that they have, and you could help them unleash it. Successful but unhappy. Oh, there you go. That's a really good phrase. So let's go Top Women Career Podcast. 7 Women Podcast, Top Career Podcast, Women in the Workplace. That's good. I would look at career, finance, marriage, parenting, trauma. Those would be like the 5 categories that I would start searching for podcasts within, because those are all things that if I'm successful but unhappy, I'm probably gonna have some kind of weird financial thing. I'm probably gonna have marriage, parenting, sex, trauma, related things. I might even look in like religious spaces, like go to Christian Women Podcast, because women there might have limiting beliefs or struggle with being a mom and having a career, or wanting to do the career but being drawn to the mom thing, or vice versa, whatever. Like all those dynamics exist there. They're going to tie into the core problem you solve. Let's search around those. Just maybe write those down. What all did I say there? Career, money, parenting, marriage, sex, religion. So maybe we could do like top parenting podcast women. Maybe there's some specifically for women. There we go. Busy moms and dads, top 15. So you can imagine, let's maybe paint out what an episode would look like here. Let me go down to the bottom. The Mom Hour. This is the podcast where you can find all the real mom tricks and hacks. The hosts, Megan Francis and Sarah Powers, have 8 kids, all ages between them. So you've seen it and heard it if you're not sure. So you can imagine going on the Mom Hour and having an episode titled how to break through your mom guilt and finally have the career you love while being an amazing mom. So you just combine the topics. You're breaking through, you're talking about the career, and you're talking about your mom on the Mom Podcast. Motherhood in Black and White, the conversation between host Kanji Irby and Tara Campbell, and their guests cover race, motherhood, and pop culture. Great for parents who want to learn how to talk about kids about racism. So you could do the same thing on the Mom Hour there. You might tie it into the race topic a little bit. Motherhood Sessions is a reproductive psychiatrist, is an expert in mattress. I don't even know what that is. Or the process of transition of a woman goes through, she becomes a mother. Oh, that's really interesting. So you're like first time mom podcast, basically, or becoming a mother for the first time. So you could say, you could have a title, episode title that is, 3 tips to be a great first time mom, and not feel like you're leaving your career behind. And you could go multiple angles with your advice there. But you're just combining the topic of the podcast with the topic you have and smashing them together. So 3 tips or how to overcome X particular challenge that you have and that they have is a great way to do that. So is that helpful? Is that helpful to talk through, Leontine? You get some ideas from that? Yeah, cool. Great. All right. We good, Ben? We even did a workshop at the end. There we go.
Yeah.
The SMS thing totally needs to be, looping all the way back to advice people are giving us, needs to be, or an idea for it. Well, this would be a one-off. It's not our challenge thing, but we could totally send out Kevin's email with the SMS that's check out this email. Kevin, our client, just sent them made $67,000 and linked to the Google Doc. I don't know. That feels a little weird, but I don't know. Between the interview we did, the email he gave us, he gave us good stats. He gave us email copy. We coached him. He modeled our emails that we coached him on. It's like a great package there. Like his result is super directly tied to our coaching, and sometimes they're a little bit more halo effecty. And it's like ripple effect, but not direct. So that's an interesting one to maybe noodle on. I mean, that could be email or anything, but thinking of like, I don't know where my brain's been going with the SMS deal is how can we cut out content that we naturally produce from this or the newsletter and make it exclusive-y feeling in what we do. Even if we gave it in a different format that was hard to like waiting to 1 hour and 25 minutes into this to get that Google Doc, there's like 62 people here when they got it, but the email list is 50,000 people. So most of them have never seen it before. Maybe none of them have ever seen it before. So I don't know, thinking out loud.
Sure. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. We also committed to doing a challenge. So I guess we got to do that.
Yeah.
We can change it.
Asking for here's the podcast pitch, if that's what you're asking for. Jared. I'm totally gonna mispronounce that, but there's that podcast pitch.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Same time, same place next week. We'll send an email out the day of. Next week, we're going to be talking about, how to have a sales call. We're going to walk through our 3-part framework for having a sales call. So a lot of people are super intimidated about talking to people on the phone and trying to sell them, but you can sell a lot more expensive things if you're willing to get on the phone with someone, but that's like a super word. You don't want to be a used car salesman. So we have a sales script that's basically based on 6 questions. If you can get on the phone with someone, ask them 6 questions, listen to them, and then apply your method for solving their problem in their context. Like if you just could sit down around, like sit over Starbucks and they were just to tell you their problem, you're to answer them. That's the whole conversation framed around 6 questions. So next week, we're going to walk you through how we do that. So if you've ever been kind of intimidated about a sales call, if you do sales calls and you want to upgrade them and optimize yours, like next week, we're going to go, I don't think we've ever talked about this before. So we're going to break it down and kind of share the details. So anyway, next week, 3:00 Central, Wednesday, see you there. We'll try to break. I think we had 150 people live at one time this day. So we need to we got to break the 200 mark. So maybe if we just do them multiple weeks in a row, we'll get there. But
exactly,
yeah, it's good. We had, at the 2 or 3 minute mark, we had 100 people here, which is awesome. So probably if we just,
and then the shares like bumped it up to the extra 50. Yeah.
Oh, really? Dang, that's good. Yeah. Sweet. All right. So enough chit chatting. See y'all next week. Shop Talk After Hours in the books. Did we like After Hours? I don't feel like a ton of people dropped off by calling it we're done. We're at like 90 anyway.
We had like 70 at the end of Cody's interview.
And we had like 90 something at the start. I kind of sort of watched the numbers when I said it's over. By the way, we're really talking shop now. We're literally talking about what we just did, but I don't really want to do another Zoom call to digest. So we'll just digest it on Shop Talk. That's literally what the thing is.
I wrote the numbers down, you guys, like every 10 minutes. So when you said, are you interested in like us talking to you? That was at 4:50, well, Eastern time. And we had 128. And then at 5, we went to 97. And at 5:03, we went to 85. And then at 5:05, we went to 78. And then it hovered there for a long time. So
what's your analysis of that then?
That was after hours, but I also think for people in Eastern time, 5 o'clock is like dinner and all of that. So I think the timing, because like it is for me. So I think timing wise, it just hit 5 o'clock. A lot of people, that's like the hour mark. I think a lot of people are willing to give the hour, and then it's hard to get people to stay past that. So I would personally say that's probably the primary reason for the drop off was just the timing. But and some people are staying up to like midnight. So
Leontine just said do it earlier Central time.
Europe time is rough.
Yeah.
Oh, it's CET Europe time?
I think she's Spain.
Yeah. I mean, you're just totally hosed on that.
Yeah.
We can move it up to 2. That's totally doable. That'd be interesting to try, but I don't know. Let's just keep doing it 3 and do it a couple more times and just see. I don't really want to. I'm going to do group at 3 o'clock.
For the folks who are still here, I'm actually curious. Because did anybody here say interested? Because it's really hard to track people down in the Zoom chat. I think we experienced that again today.
Oh, really?
Like, for anyone who's still here, feedback, would you like just like a live chat box to talk with our team in like a dedicated place during?
Oh, that's right.
So it doesn't get like lost in the chat transcript.
So what you're saying, Ben, is when people put interested and Drew follows up, like getting that conversation going is really hard.
Yeah, it just gets drowned really quickly, especially if there's like question answers and stuff. Like,
yeah.
So
interesting.
Yeah, not a lot of feedback left on that one, but
yeah, we probably next week we need to legitimately just do a different CTA type to see if we talked about that one. I kind of forgot about that. Just if you're interested, we got 3 people hanging out over here on this page. Go and we'll chat. What do you think, Drew?
Yeah.
Drew's here.
Yeah, I agree. Because sometimes, a big list of interested, and then before I can get to them, they've already been logged off. So I couldn't hit them in the chat, but that's not some emails of the people from their Zoom usernames that I could find. So,
Interesting.
but I think a chat area would be awesome.
How many interested did we get today?
I got around 15, 16.
Yeah. Cool.
Did you save the chat so that you can go back and see if you did? Okay, cool.
Leontine's in. She's pumped.
Drew found me already. That's
Also,
awesome.
another thing, we didn't give the CTA till almost an hour in, which is a bit long.
Yeah,
The workshopy part just kind of went a little longer, but I'm not honestly super interested in hyper optimizing. Oh, my light just went off. That means it's time to stop talking. Hyper optimizing every little piece of everything. But
No.
if 20 people say they're interested and we get 2 of them to book a call and they just literally said they're interested, then we probably need to change the way we're like actually doing that. And we got a little bit of a problem because we're going to start broadcasting to YouTube. And you literally can't do the chat thing with them. So like they can't chat back and forth. This is like after hours of after hours, by the way. This is after hours after hours. So I like
we
this.
need a branded short link that goes to like a chat window or something. That's
What do you think would
probably the
happen?
way I prefer to do it.
Branded link that goes to chat window. Yeah, like, hey, if you're interested, just go here real quick and we'll jump on a live chat and talk.
Yeah.
How's that feel to you, Drew?
Sounds good.
Also,
I'm
what if
down. I'm down.
what if instead of dropping interested, they drop their email address?
That would work.
You
Jeanette,
still gotta.
Jeanette,
What's that?
here, Jeanette wants to come in.
Okay.
Please let me in.
We're just gonna have a company meeting at this point.
Oh, here she is.
Hello, Miss Jeanette. How are you?
Hey, I'm on my phone because my daughter missed the bus today. I had to go grab her. But
Oh, dang.
Mighty Networks will let you put it in all the places, but give you a common spot for a chat, I think.
But we got to be on YouTube though.
There's an app. I've got it saved. I don't know the name of it right off the bat, but it'll put it on Facebook, YouTube, Zoom.
Okay, so walk me through this. There's 5,000 people signed up or subscribe to the YouTube account. We go live on YouTube. The only people in Zoom are clients. We call it Studio Pass. So we let clients come in so we can do what we just did with them, like intimately. Everybody else is on YouTube. Somebody's watching on YouTube and they're like, I'm interested. What do they do?
I'd have to look at the documentation, but I believe using that app, there's one common, it brings in the chat from Facebook and from YouTube.
It merges
let me
the
find it.
comments on the live, right? And then from there you could, but I don't think you can have one-on-one conversations that way.
Right,
Unless I'm
like
wrong.
to the salespeople.
My vote, Ben, is we try next week. We do 2 things. We ask for the email, put your email in chat if you want it, and we'll follow up with you. And we redirect them to a page that has live chat on it.
Yeah, Sharon,
And you, Bethany, and Drew all are kind of like, because you got to jump on those quick because you'll have a flood and then nothing. I probably need to do a better job at not just having one hard CTA, but spreading them out a little bit more. Yeah, email to chat gives our email to all viewers. Could that be a spam invitation since it's hanging out? Yeah, I mean, go to the limit a little bit. You got a year and there's 1,000 people live. I mean, people probably don't want to be putting their email addresses in chat for people. That gets kind of weird. It's a little bit of a problem to solve. How do you raise your hand? Because I don't want to get super aggressive on CTA, but we do want to book calls and get sales from Shop Talk. So it's like, how do you thread the needle in that? Maybe the chat thing solves all those problems.
chat seems like a good one. It probably doesn't scale to 1,000 people.
Well,
Like
you just have
1,000
the whole team available in that 30-minute window. Just everybody comes to chat once a week for 30 minutes and has quick conversations with people. Because there's no way Drew can have 30 conversations over instantaneously starting at the exact same time. It's just like impossible.
No one can type that fast.
Yeah.
And I'm a bad typer.
All right. Figure out a test for us for next week, Ben. Let's iterate a little bit next week.
You bet.
Yeah, Sharon, I think you're right. Chat box is it. All right. After hours of after hours is now closed. And now Bethany's going to go watch some kids and I'm going to go eat some food. So y'all have a good one. Appreciate y'all. See you.